Today we have the 2019 Toyota RAV4 XSE Hybrid, and this might just be the best road trip vehicle that there is, at least for efficiency and practicality. Now we've got the beach right behind me. We are on vacation right now. There's gonna be clips of all different parts throughout the video, and I'm gonna give you kind of a real world look at what it's like to live with one of these and to take it on a road trip and go through some of its pros and cons coming right up. All right, before we start this thing off, I want you to kind of expect a few things here. So I'm gonna give you some real world miles per gallon numbers periodically, maybe a little bit of video of some of the vacation, and a quick run through of everything on the inside and what it's like to actually live with. So starting out with the powertrain, this has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, plus the electric battery system, the hybrid system that Toyota is known for. So the engine is direct and port injected, which is a big plus to me. Miles per gallon is 41 in the city and 38 on the highway, and 40 combined, which is definitely better than the gas. And some of you might ask why the city is better, but that's because it can use the battery and the electric mode more often versus on the highway. You don't brake as much, you don't coast as much, so you don't get as much of the electric power. And those electric motors can power both the front and the rear wheels, but the gas engine can only power the front wheels. So the all-wheel drive portion of this is pure electric. And it is powered with an eCVT. It's electronically controlled, not your typical mechanical CVT that you'll see in some other vehicles, and it has been fairly smooth, giving you 219 horsepower, which is better than the gas. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the exterior. Thank you so much for tuning in. So taking a look at the RAV4 XSE Hybrid, I do have a very detailed review of all the different trim levels on the gas models, so be sure to check that out if you want to see more details. But this is going to be kind of just a quick walk around right here, and then we'll jump right into it. So first of all, our RAV4, we've got every RAV4 actually has LED headlights, but we have projector LEDs, and they do a pretty nice job. I'll show you those a little bit later. LED daytime running light, accent lighting. We've got halogen fog lights down there, which, you know, fog lights, halogen do maybe a little bit better in the actual fog, but still kind of a little plastic piece down there. Nothing real rugged, but it's definitely a more rugged design. You've got the blue hybrid logo, parking sensors. And what do y'all think of this RAV4? What do you think of the design? This XSE definitely looks pretty sharp. You've got the black roof up above as well for a two-tone treatment. You've even got black trim pieces going around the wheels. The wheels themselves are black. Those are black 18-inch wheels. So this is a pretty sharp vehicle, and this paint is called Blueprint, and it looks different in every light color. It's pretty interesting. Got a hybrid badge on the side. Now the RAV4 definitely changed its body style from being softer looking to more rugged looking. So let me know down below what you think of that. The roof rack is nice as well. It actually sits up pretty high, so you've got some good clearance if you're gonna put some stuff up there. And I was gonna bring my kayaks, but you know, we just didn't know if we were gonna get anywhere to do that and just didn't want to take the time. But you definitely can if you want to. Coming around the back, you definitely have a boxier design. This is kind of my least favorite portion of the RAV, but I still like this model better than the previous model. And you've got those double exhaust outlets down below as well. I forgot my bodyboard, so I had to make a quick stop and get one. And let me tell you, the Walmart parking lot is like the hottest place on planet Earth. I'm also surrounded by water on this island, but got my water here. And we take a look in here, I've got some more crud, got my beach chairs. This tonneau cover really comes in handy. And when it's hot like this, usually the seats are just nasty on fire. And we have the synthetic material, and these are still nasty and on fire. So even though it's synthetic fake leather, it still gets super hot. My wife actually burned herself on these, so be careful. All right, let me show you what's going on in this cargo area. So we have the smart key system on here. You can, you know, sensor touch, open up the back, open up the door as well. And we've got a cargo cover right here, and my body board fits up there to dry out nice and easy. You can retract it back pretty easy as well. You've got a sub for the JBL sound system, and when you look at everything in here, there's some pretty good space. I've got quite a bit of junk back here, and you can kind of see right over here, there's a carpet under here, but I have this double level cargo floor at its lowest point, because then it kind of holds some stuff in a little bit better. You can see my cooler's got a little lip that it kind of rests up against. And if I go ahead and get this out of the way, those seats recline, those seats fold. You can move the cargo floor up so that it actually meets that area where it folds. And there are some tie downs. There's a little light back there that you can turn off and on. So not a bad area. Got a 12-volt power outlet, little storage bin down below. I would like to maybe see a couple more little hooks in here, but overall this has actually been a pretty nice cargo area for us. Now when you fold the seats down, you've got a pretty large space. It's pretty easy to get to, but in order to do that, you have to go up there. There's no levers back here. You can reach it from here and kind of push them forward, and you don't actually have to move the headrest, at least from where I sit. Then when you fold them down, you don't have quite as much space as the leading competitors, but it's still a pretty functional and usable cargo area. And another nice thing is that this cargo lift gate is actually adjustable, so you can make it at its highest point, which is where it is for me at 5'9", and it doesn't bother me. You can lower it down a couple notches as well, and there's 2 grab handles. Well, before we get started here, I want you to see that there is a ice cream truck coming to the beach at about 9 at night, you know, just your normal thing here in Jamaica Beach. Okay, so I want to give you a quick look at the headlights here, and this is going to look a little different because I have it on a different camera than what I normally do, but these are the low beams, and sitting still they seem to look good. We're actually perched a little bit up so they have better distance, but typically they actually tend to sit kind of low. So I wish they would project a little higher. You could probably just take them into the dealer and get them to sit a little higher, but the headlights themselves are not bad. And then go ahead and flip the fog lights on. Got a little bit more on the outside, but they are halogen as well. Then our high beams, straight on center shoot. Looks pretty good. Now in here, our steering wheel is lit up pretty well. We've got quite a bit that you can see on here. This gauge cluster, I've had no trouble seeing that at all. This is very clear and no troubles whatsoever. You can adjust the brightness. I actually have it a little bit dimmer. I really like this lighting down below as well. There's ambient lighting down there. All your switches are lit up as well. And just kind of giving you a look throughout the cabin, you've got some well lit buttons down here. I mean, living with this thing at night is definitely pretty easy to do. And I've got Apple CarPlay running right now. All the buttons are blue backlit. And then there's some more ambient lighting right down here. So all your little storage and all that crud is lit up, and it's a little bit brighter in person than it is on the camera. Even our little normal knob right there, push normal sport eco, is lit up. Our bottles are lit up as well. Obviously those are kind of covering up any light. But then another cool thing is this whole bin right here, the storage bin, is lit up with some nice blue lighting as well. Right now there's nothing behind me, so this doesn't really see anything, but you can use it at night and you can still see some headlights, and it makes it out with some street lights. It really does help. One complaint, not necessarily a complaint, but one thing I noticed is that these are just halogen bulbs in here. They light it up pretty well, but you know, pretty much all the competitors use LEDs in their top trims, or at least some do. That's something I was expecting. All right, now you want to see the back seat, and I kept everything up. I thought about folding the seats down, but I kind of wanted to, you know, differ where some of my stuff was. But these are the synthetic Softex seats, just like they are in the front. And I've got more crud back here. You can see I've got some bags, some pillows, junk behind the seats. And you've got this big, giant panoramic roof up above as well. So the backseat passengers can enjoy that. We have a center folding armrest with cup holders. Another nice thing about back here is you can close those vents off if you want maximum flow up front, and 2 fast charging USB ports, so that is awesome. Now, if you want to see the back seat with me sitting in it, please be sure to check out my detailed review below where you can see all my legroom and all that, which I have good legroom. I fit in here just fine, although it is certainly not class leading, and there's some competitors that beat it out, like the CR-V and even the Tucson that I was just recently in. We still have some soft materials up here for your passengers to enjoy, and a bottle holder right down below. All right, now hopping inside, we've got nice soft material on the doors. We've got, I believe these are all automatic up-down windows. They certainly are all automatic up-down windows. This trim gives us a rubbery piece on the inside. Nice door handle right there. My one complaint here though is that grab handle is really far forward, and I kind of like how Toyota has that big handle, but when you're on a hill or something, or there's just no leverage with the handle that far down. I'd like to see it back maybe just a little bit, but I really like this big armrest right here. My large bottles fit in here, tall bottles, big bottles, even a smaller section right down below as well. Now just inside, you've got a really cool little storage bin, which is nice. It's even got some ambient lighting, all the buttons and switches you need, with a heated steering wheel, heated windshield wipers, so you're ready to go in the wintertime with the weather package. Now obviously you can see I've been dirty and sandy, and one complaint though is that that brake actually clicks every time you touch it, and it's really quite annoying, honestly. Now on a road trip, seat comfort is obviously crucial, and I've been very comfortable in these seats. The headrest isn't intrusive. We've got some pretty decent bolstering. There's actually a little bit of an insert, but it actually still feels pretty good, just like the synthetic material here. And I've been super comfortable overall. We've got lumbar support, height adjustment, all the good stuff. So no problems with that. And a leather steering wheel that can tilt and telescope pretty well. And if you want to see how I fit in here and all the details and the differences between the trim levels and what seats you get, be sure to check out my full detailed review as well on all the different trim levels. Now the steering wheel has your typical Toyota controls, volume, all that stuff. It's been all easy to use, radar, cruise control. Talk more about that later. The steering wheel is comfortable as well. Got nice leather with a little center slot right there. Haven't been able to test out the automatic rain sensing wipers, but we do have them. Now one thing that I like is the gauge cluster here, all this. I wish that there was maybe an extra trip for MPG, but I'll update you guys on the MPGs kind of throughout. But there's still quite a bit of information that you can scroll through. So it has come in handy, that's for sure. I've actually kind of enjoyed watching the hybrid system work, even which wheels get traction when we're in the sand. So that is pretty cool. All your safety systems, all that stuff is real easy to adjust. The dash is a pretty nice soft material. You have this tablet style screen, and I kind of go through a little bit more of this in that trim level comparison, but I really like that we have Apple CarPlay at least on here. The home screen is nice because I can keep an eye on the map, I can keep an eye on my fuel efficiency or the hybrid system, whatever you want. Then you can just go to your basic main things, and there's still quite a bit of stuff that you can control on here as well. And down below, these air vents have been pretty nice. They've worked well. Also, this rubber on here feels pretty nice for that, and the tuning knob. And even these AC controls. Dual zone AC, it's done a really good job of keeping us cool. It's been pretty darn warm in here and hot outside and humid, so that has been nice. Heated seats, haven't been able to use those yet, but we got a wireless charging pad, USB port, auxiliary port, 12-volt power outlet, all that stuff right there, and that's lit up at night. So just a nice little storage bin. We have our eco mode, sport mode, parking brake, brake hold, which I love the brake hold button. One thing, I haven't really used the trail. I pushed it when we were in some sand, but I didn't tell any difference. EV mode if you want. And I've actually had it in eco mode sometimes, sport mode sometimes, and I'll try to go through that in the test drive. These bottle holders have worked pretty well. My bottle and my wife's bottle both fit in here just fine, and there's still a little bit of wiggle room. This center armrest is actually fairly wide, wider than I was expecting, so both of our arms fit on here okay. And we've got a couple more USB ports in there, fast charging USB ports. Not too bad of a storage area. And then my wife's favorite section is that little tray right there where she can store her phone and be happy, keep her stuff away from her, keep her stuff away from my stuff right there. Another cool thing is we've got this automatic dimming mirror, and we've got this mirror camera. So you can see what's behind you. You can adjust it as well, up and down, garage controls. That has all been pretty nice while traveling. The sunglass holder is pretty much worthless though. It is absolutely tiny. I mean, sunglasses just don't fit in there unless you finagle them to the death. But we've got this panoramic roof. You can open the roof, you can open the shade, which is pretty nice. Going all the way back there. One thing that I've been taking advantage of in this RAV4 is this panoramic roof, and I hardly ever use it during the day because I don't like the sun shining in here. It's just me. But at night, when you're driving down the coast, you can open this baby up and it goes way back, especially if you've got some passengers and you got the music bumping. It's really nice. Get those coastal breezes coming through here. And by the way, if you don't like the the wind kind of blowing in your ear when you have the window down, just crack your back window. Even your moonroof can draw some of that wind away, so you've got just a nice open air experience. One of my complaints is that with Toyota, you don't actually have moving visors, you just have these little pieces, which sometimes is nice, but when you're traveling, I'd prefer to be able to move the whole entire thing. And I want you guys to know that I've done a lot of idling, we've done a lot of sitting and all that, so our MPGs have not been that great. If I go over here and I go to my history, you can see we haven't achieved 40 MPGs yet. We got 36.4 before, 36.1 now with a lot of this. But I'll update you more as we get going, especially on our way home. I felt like this was a good time to show you the backup camera. So first of all, you've got your grid lines, you've got guidance lines, you can do a wide view as well, or you can just kind of change it up right here. I just keep it like this so I can see it, and you can see your parking sensors up there. So I'm gonna go forward again. And the parking sensors also show up right in front of your gauges right there. I just want to give you a quick look at some of our MPGs. So first of all, it was pretty hot and the vehicle was hot, and the key fob did not reach very far for remote start, but we got it started up and I turned off eco mode. And with a lot of AC running and the engine running kind of stalled or just sitting still, that's my MPGs, which of course is terrible, but that's the lowest I've ever had. And you can kind of see over this last tank of gas, we've gotten 38.5. which is pretty good. And that is kind of a mix of driving. The previous tank when I first left DFW was about 36.4, and that's going about 80 against the wind. So going at high speeds and against the wind, so you can't really blame it for that. I'll keep you guys updated on the rest. One thing to really note is I did have it in eco mode driving down, which probably didn't make a difference because I was basically all interstate. But when you have it in eco mode, it will automatically put the eco heat and cool on. So you're not going to get, it's going to tend to drop the fan speed down no matter what your temperature is. So I turned that off and it defaults to being on every time you turn the car on if it's in eco mode. So I finally just put it back in normal mode. But the AC has done a pretty good job. These vents are not super loud, but they still do a pretty good job of cooling you off. And you can close all of these vents, although I'm pretty sure you can't close these ones on the lower trims, but these ones up here do a good job. The ones in the back pump out quite a bit of air too, but I have those sealed right now. So hopping in to test drive this thing, my first impression is that it feels pretty solid. It feels a little more substantial and kind of a heavier feeling to it than the other previous generation of the RAV4. One disappointing thing to me is at highway speeds on the interstate, you get a lot of wind noise and road noise, especially when you get on a rougher textured road. And I was expecting better, especially with this new platform. They tout the improved vibration and harshness, but this still, the recent vehicles I had, like the CX-5, the Hyundai Tucson, the Nissan Rogue, those were all quieter than this RAV4. Most of my driving with this has been on the highway, so it's a little bit tricky for me to say in day-to-day city driving, but I have had some stop and go traffic and everything has worked really well. It's been fairly smooth. The hybrid system has been really nice at giving me good MPGs. The Toyota safety sense has been nice as well. One of my favorite things about the new cars, especially one like this RAV4 Hybrid, is the radar cruise control. And as you can see right now, I've got it going and I've got it on 2 bars, and I'll try to give you a little bit more of a demo of this later on. It just takes a lot of the stress out of driving. So it keeps you in your lane, it slows you down. I don't hardly have to touch the brake or the gas unless needed. Like right there, it's slowing me down and it's keeping a pretty good distance. And even going through some construction sometimes when the lanes weren't there, it would actually still see the vehicle in front and keep me in my lanes by showing me on my screen that it sees the vehicle. Obviously, I'm still steering and driving, but it's just a nice extra safety feature. If you tend to get a little distracted or something like that, it's got your back. So right now, I've still got my hands on the wheel, of course, but I'm not doing anything. And I'm not pushing on the accelerator or the brake, but it's still keeping a good distance. And I'm getting excellent MPGs, kind of like I showed you before. Right now I'm in EV mode. I have the car in eco mode, but it's in EV mode on its own, so it's not even using gas. It's just pure electric in some of this stop and go stuff. And I'm now up to 43.6 miles per gallon on this trip. The ride comfort in the XSE is stiffer than the gas. At least it's supposed to be, and it should be, because it has a sport tuned suspension. And to me, I don't think it's necessary with the hybrid. It's a little stiffer than I would like. It's not harsh by any means. It's definitely compliant and composed, but it's on the stiff side. Now the handling is pretty good. We actually have a pretty good weight to the steering wheel. I've had no troubles with any cornering or anything like that, and it has active corner assist where the inside wheels can brake if needed to help you with some handling. Another thing I don't really care about on this RAV4 while driving it is the regenerative brakes. So those are great. They charge the battery. You can tell when you kind of hit the real brake. And the only time that's really dramatic and when I don't like it is when you have to really slow down pretty quickly, because you can feel the transition and it's a little unpleasant and kind of hard to gauge sometimes. All right, we are coming up on downtown Houston, and you know what that means? Traffic is getting worse. Now, I've got the car in radar cruise control mode, and I'm a little not so reluctantly letting it control it for me, but it is doing all the braking for me right now. And it's doing a good job. I've got it on the furthest setting, and obviously the slower that you go, the closer it's going to let you be. When you're at actual freeway speeds, it keeps a pretty good distance, but it is still doing a pretty good job. It's keeping me in my lane, and it's slowed us down to almost a stop. And then we'll see how it does. I'm going to lower the distance to just 1 bar, the closest setting, and see how it does. I'm not going to touch the gas. And it just braked right there for me, so it still keeps a little bit of distance, and we'll see how quickly it picks up. The car is accelerating. I'm letting it move the steering wheel for me too. I still got my hands on the wheel, but it's doing everything for me, keeping a good distance. So stop and go traffic definitely works. And currently I'm getting 40.9 miles per gallon on this trip, which has been mostly interstate with a little bit of stop and go. And it's accelerating for me again. So pretty smooth system overall with some quirks, but it's doing a nice job. And I'm actually in EV mode right now. The stop and go, the hybrids love the stop and go. Still in EV mode, and it's accelerating for me. And now the gas engine just kicked on. There you go. That's how it works. With the drive modes, you've got hybrid, normal, and eco. And you've got normal, eco, and sport. The eco is definitely lethargic when taking off. It tries to keep you in EV mode as much as possible. The normal mode is pretty predictable. It doesn't really surprise you with anything. And sport mode keeps you out of EV mode the most, and you get the most throttle response by far. But overall, driving the RAV4 has been pleasant. I think it is one of the best, if not the second best, driving crossovers in the class, probably just a little behind the CX-5. I still think that that handles the best. It's not necessarily a more comfortable ride, but overall driving dynamics, CX-5 still wins. But this is still comfortable. It's been great for road tripping. So we're about to get gas, and when I last checked in with you guys, I showed you our MPGs. I reset it before I filled up, and on the way here, driving through Galveston Island up to Texas City, got 41.5 miles per gallon. Not too bad at all. I definitely got a little burnt, but if you've never been to Buc-ee's, this place is insane. It is like the Disney World of gas stations. So if you're ever in this area, stop at a Buc-ee's. All right, so it just shut off, and it gave us 4 gallons, and I had less than half a tank, and it just shut off. And this is a problem I've had every time I went to fill the vehicle up. It's showing that I have just over 3/4. So let's try this again. I'm gonna go by hand. Shut it off again. It literally gave me just 0.7 gallons and still not a full tank. And I've had this problem every time. All right, so I just want to give you a final update on miles per gallon. So this is our MPG after we got back from Galveston. This was probably the last maybe hour and a half, kind of starting to go through the DFW Metro where the speed limit slowed down. I kept it in eco mode most of the time on the way back. On this tank of gas, 291 miles, I've gotten 39.5, and that is pretty much all highway, some stop and go, and a lot of that is going pretty fast, you know, at a pretty good clip. So this mile per gallon is better, of course, because of the lower speeds. And honestly, if you're not going to be going, you know, full speed, and you're going to just do more metro driving, I have no doubt that you can get 40 plus on the highway, even 45. I was getting really good MPGs in Houston with the stop and go traffic. So that's fantastic. And then to kind of take a look at what we've done, this is with a lot of idling and kind of sitting at the beach, sitting in Galveston with the engine running and with it hot. So there's definitely some downgrades. I did definitely have some big chunks with MPGs over 40, which is fantastic. So overall, maybe averaged around 37 to 38 the whole trip. But lately with good, you know, with consistent driving, pretty good. And altogether, I put about 831 miles on here, and I still got about 100 more miles to go. So spent a lot of time with this RAV. So when it's all said and done, I got home. It's the next day. I'm sunburnt, but overall the RAV has been great for this road trip to drive around all week long. So I hope you guys got to experience that a little bit. If you really want to see the details and all the different trim levels, be sure to go to the description below and check out that video I do with all the gas models. So thank y'all so much for watching, but I truly believe that this is a fantastic vehicle. Toyota did a great job. It just gets expensive with certain trim levels and options and stuff, but leave your comments down below what you think of it, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.